Captain Jack Reynolds paced the narrow confines of his ship, the Voyager, his boots clanging lightly against the metal floor. The bridge was dimly lit, save for the luminescent glow of star charts and data screens casting ghostly shadows across the faces of his crew. "Report, Ensign Clark," Jack commanded, his voice cutting through the hum of background noise. Clark, a young but promising officer, adjusted the holographic display in front of him. "Sir, we've entered the Zephyrus sector. No prior ships have charted these parts. It's all unknown from here." Jack nodded, his gaze drifting to the window where a tapestry of stars stretched into infinity. "Keep the sensors on high alert. If there's anything out there, I want to know before it knows we're here." Beside him, First Officer Luisa Gomez stood with her arms crossed, her expression one of cautious anticipation. "We're effectively in no man's land, Jack. Whatever we find here, we're the first humans to see it." "That's what we signed up for, isn't it?" Jack replied with a smirk. His eyes sparkled with the thrill of the unknown, a passion that had driven his career in the Space Corps. Suddenly, the ship trembled slightly underfoot, a silent alert flickering to life on the dashboard. Clark swiveled in his seat, tapping the display rapidly. "Captain, we're picking up an anomaly. It's big. Bigger than anything we've encountered before." "Define big," Jack said, stepping closer. "It's massive, sir, and it's alive, or at least it appears to be bioorganic in nature," Clark explained, zooming in on the object displayed on the screen. Jack exchanged a look with Gomez. "Set a course, Clark. Let's not keep our mystery guest waiting." The Voyager adjusted its trajectory, the stars warping slightly as they approached the anomaly. As they drew closer, the outline of a colossal structure began to materialize against the backdrop of space, its form too symmetrical to be anything but artificial. "What in the name of—" Gomez began, her usual composure slipping. "It's not just a structure," Jack said, squinting to make out the details. "It looks like a ship. No, a station. Clark, hail them." Clark sent out a standard greeting in all known languages, but the only response was static. The silence that followed was oppressive, hanging heavy in the air of the bridge. "Prepare for a manual approach. Harris, you're with me," Jack ordered, turning to his security officer, who nodded grimly. As they suited up for the expedition, Jack checked his gear meticulously. "Remember, we don't know what's out there. Weapons on stun, eyes open." The airlock hissed as it sealed behind them, and the small shuttle detached from the Voyager, making its way toward the alien station. The structure grew until it filled their viewport, a leviathan made of unknown alloys and cold, dark windows. Landing in the hangar bay, they found it deserted, the only sound the echo of their own footsteps. The interior was vast, the architecture unlike anything human. Elegant yet formidable, as if designed by a civilization that knew beauty as well as it knew engineering. "Looks deserted," Harris whispered, his voice barely audible over the comm link. "Looks can be deceiving," Jack replied, leading the way into the heart of the station. They passed through a series of interconnected chambers, each more elaborate than the last, until they reached what appeared to be a central hub. It was then they heard it, a voice, ethereal and melodic, resonating through the halls. "I am Illyra," the voice sang, the sound seeming to come from the walls themselves. "Welcome, travelers from afar." Jack stood firm, his hand hovering near his weapon. "We come in peace, Illyra. We wish to learn about you and your people." "You shall," the voice promised, a shadow beginning to take shape in front of them. As it solidified, they saw her, Illyra, an entity whose presence was as commanding as it was enigmatic, her features both alien and mesmerizingly beautiful. "Tell us, Illyra," Jack started, meeting what he presumed were her eyes. "Why has no one visited you before?" "The last who tried were not ready for what they discovered," she replied, her voice a whisper of wind and wisdom. "Are you Jack Reynolds?" Jack's reply was cut short as the chapter came to a close, leaving the fate of their encounter hanging in the balance. A promise of revelations and challenges that lay ahead in the uncharted realms of space. The alien station hummed with a quiet energy as Jack and Harris stood before Illyra, the holographic entity shimmering before them. The air was thick with anticipation. "Illyra, we are explorers," Jack began, his voice echoing slightly in the vast chamber. "Our intentions are peaceful. We hope to establish a dialogue with your people." Illyra's form flickered like disturbed water. "Your sincerity is noted, Jack Reynolds. Many have found us, yet none have truly understood." Harris looked around nervously. "What happened to the others, those who came before us?" They were not ready for the truths they sought and responded with fear, Illyra replied. Her voice had a haunting quality. Their actions led to conflict. We seek to learn, not to conquer, Jack said, hoping to convey his genuine intent. Illyra considered this for a moment, then gestured for them to follow. Come, I will show you our world. As they walked, the walls illuminated, displaying vibrant images of the Zalari's past. Illyra narrated the history of her people, beings of peace whose physical forms had long ago merged with the station. Our consciousnesses reside within this station, a collective existence beyond physicality, Illyra explained, her voice laced with a touch of sadness. Jack was fascinated. And this station, it's alive? In a sense, Illyra responded. It is our protector and sustainer, integrated with our collective will. They reached a chamber where the walls pulsed with light. This is the core, our collective heart. Here, we exist in our purest form. Harris was visibly impressed. It's like you've achieved a form of immortality. Not immortality, but continuity, Illyra corrected softly. We continue to evolve within this network. Jack felt a kinship with the Zalari, their desire to preserve their culture resonating with his own exploratory spirit. How can we assist you? Illyra's image brightened. Understanding each other is the first step. Trust is essential, especially considering our past. She indicated a device that extended from the wall. If you agree, this will connect you to our network. You can experience our memories, understand our existence. Jack nodded, driven by a mix of curiosity and empathy. Let's do it. Understanding each other is the foundation of cooperation. He placed his hand into the device's light, and his mind was instantly awash with Zalari memories. Vivid, emotional, profound. It was an intense experience that deepened his understanding of their unique existence. Withdrawing his hand, Jack felt a new sense of connection. We will help you, Illyra, not just out of duty, but from a genuine desire to forge a bond. Illyra seemed to convey gratitude. Then let us begin this journey together. Let us teach the universe the value of connection. Jack and Harris left the chamber changed, their mission now not only exploration, but also the nurturing of a fragile trust between humanity and the Zalari. The path ahead was uncertain, yet it promised new horizons in the understanding of life's myriad forms across the cosmos. Back aboard the Voyager, Jack convened an urgent meeting with his senior crew in the cramped utilitarian briefing room. The air was electric with the implications of their recent encounter. Gomez, Clark, Harris, what we've just experienced changes everything, Jack started, his voice thick with the weight of their discovery. The Zalari aren't just surviving within that station. They're living a collective existence that's beyond anything we've seen. Gomez, always the skeptic, leaned forward, her brow furrowed. Are you suggesting we alter our mission, Captain? Because engaging with a collective consciousness has risks beyond the usual first contact protocols. Jack nodded seriously. I'm aware of the risks, but the potential for mutual benefit is immense. The Zalari could teach us about advanced technologies, sustainable living, maybe even the true essence of community. Clark, the youngest among them, chimed in with youthful enthusiasm. And their history is like a living library. The knowledge they've preserved could advance our understanding of the galaxy. Jack smiled at Clark's excitement but raised a hand to temper the mood. We proceed with caution. Our next step is to learn more about their culture, their ethics. Illyra mentioned a place called the Garden of Echoes. It seems to be central to their existence. Harris, ever the security chief, added, and we'll need to consider our own safety. Remember, we don't know why the others failed to make peaceful contact. Right, Jack agreed. Tomorrow we'll visit this garden. Illyra invited us to understand their roots, and I believe this is where we'll truly see the heart of their civilization. The next morning, with Illyra's guidance, Jack and his team disembarked once more onto the station. The corridors led them deeper into the structure than they had gone before, toward the heart of the Zalari's collective memory. As they entered the Garden of Echoes, they were greeted by a breathtaking vista. The chamber, vast and dome-like, was filled with a lush array of exotic plants that shimmered with bioluminescent light. The air was fragrant with 1,000 flowers, and soft, melodic sounds filled the air, resonating with an almost tangible tranquility. Illyra's form appeared before them, more stable here, almost solid. This garden is a reflection of our world as it once was. Each plant, each bloom is a memory, a story from our past. Jack walked slowly through the garden, touching the leaves of a glowing fern that flickered under his touch. It's beautiful, he murmured, The garden is sacred to us, Illyra continued, her voice echoing around them. Here, we commune with our ancestors, we learn from their experiences, and we grow. You are the first outsiders to walk these paths. As they ventured deeper, the flora grew denser and the path narrowed. Jack felt a profound sense of peace, but also a deep curiosity about the Zolari's existence. How had they transitioned from physical beings to this collective state? What had they sacrificed, and what had they gained? Suddenly, the serene atmosphere was broken by a soft, whispering sound. Turning toward it, Jack found himself face to face with a transparent screen that flickered to life, showing scenes of the Zolari's physical life before they became a collective. These are our final days before the transition, Illyra explained as they watched. Our planet was dying, ravaged by wars and ecological disasters. The transition was our salvation, but also our sacrifice. We lost our individuality, but gained immortality. Jack watched, entranced by the haunting images of a civilization at the brink of extinction, their decision monumental. The screen showed Zolari of all ages walking into light-filled chambers and then fading away, their essences absorbed by the station. The garden keeps our individual memories alive, Illyra said softly. Though we are now one, we retain the echoes of who we were. Jack turned to her, his expression thoughtful. And what do you need from us, Illyra? How can humanity help a race that has already transcended? Illyra looked at him, her eyes deep pools of ancient knowledge. By remembering us, Captain Reynolds. By learning from our past and carrying our stories into the future. Help us ensure that our sacrifices were not in vain. As they left the Garden of Echoes, Jack felt a new responsibility settle on his shoulders, not just to his crew or his superiors, but to a race of beings who had entrusted him with their legacy. The journey ahead would be fraught with challenges, but Jack knew that the Zolari's trust was a gift, one that came with the promise of a deeper understanding of the universe and humanity's place within it. After the profound experience in the Garden of Echoes, Jack found himself drawn to learn more about the Zolari, especially their transition from physical beings to a collective consciousness. His nightly thoughts were haunted by images of the Zolari's last days, the faces of individuals who chose unity over extinction. Back on the Voyager, the crew busied themselves with data analysis and reports, but Jack couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to be discovered about the Zolari. He decided to request another meeting with Illyra, hoping to deepen the dialogue between human and Zolari. The following day, Jack returned to the station, this time alone. As he traversed the metallic corridors, which now felt strangely familiar, he sensed a shift in the atmosphere, a sense of welcoming. Illyra greeted him at the entrance to the Garden of Echoes. Captain Reynolds, your interest in our history is commendable. What brings you back to us without your crew? Jack adjusted the communicator on his wrist. I feel there's more to learn from you, Illyra. Not just about your technology or history, but about you, about the Zolari as individuals. Illyra's holographic form led Jack through a different part of the garden, where the plants seemed older, their colors deeper. Our individuality is something we hold dear, Captain. Each plant here represents a life, a story that contributed to our collective existence. They stopped before a particularly striking flower, its petals glowing softly in the dim light. Illyra extended a hand towards it, and the flower emitted a gentle, pulsing light. This was Dalyen, a thinker among us. His ideas helped shape the protocols of our transition, she explained, her tone tinged with reverence. Jack listened, mesmerized by the personal histories Illyra shared. Each story added depth to his understanding of the Zolari's sacrifice and their current existence. The visit stretched on, and without realizing it, hours passed as Illyra recounted tales of love, loss, and innovation. Finally, as the station's artificial light began to dim, simulating the sunset of the Zolari's lost planet, Illyra turned to Jack. It is rare, Captain, for us to share these memories so freely. Your openness to our culture is a bridge I did not anticipate building with any outsider. Jack felt a profound connection, a bond forming not just between Captain and Collective, but between two races. Illyra, your trust honors me. I hope that my visits can continue to foster understanding between our peoples. As do we, Illyra replied. I sense a great potential in you, Jack Reynolds, to be a conduit of peace and understanding. As Jack prepared to leave, Illyra added, Please return whenever you wish. The garden and its stories are open to you, as are our archives. You may bring others, or come alone, as you see fit. Walking back to his shuttle, Jack felt a responsibility to share the depth of his experiences with his crew, and eventually with humanity. The Zolari's way of life, their choices and sacrifices, could teach humanity much about unity and the strength found in collective existence. Upon returning to the Voyager, Jack called a meeting with his senior officers. He explained his interactions with Illyra and expressed his hope that they could all learn from the Zolari. "We need to approach this with the respect and solemnity it deserves," Jack told them. "Our mission here is no longer just exploration. It's about building a relationship that could fundamentally change how we view life in the universe." The crew listened intently, moved by Jack's conviction and the unique opportunity they had stumbled upon. Together, they agreed to support Jack in his efforts, each eager to play a part in this unprecedented outreach. As the Voyager continued to orbit the Zolari station, Jack spent many evenings in the garden, learning, listening, and ultimately understanding the true essence of the Zolari. Each visit solidified the bond between the two species, a testament to the power of respect and the willingness to understand the unknown. The burgeoning relationship between humanity and the Zolari, facilitated by Captain Jack Reynolds' frequent visits, began to reshape the crew's mission priorities. While the initial goal had been exploration and mapping of uncharted territories, their focus shifted toward a deeper understanding and alliance with the Zolari. However, this shift did not go unnoticed. Word of the Voyager's extended stay and the unusual interactions with the Zolari reached the United Earth Space Command. Concerns were raised about the implications of such a close relationship with a previously unknown alien collective. Commander Helen Baxter, representing the Space Command, arrived on the Voyager to assess the situation. "Captain Reynolds, while your reports have been thorough, there are concerns about the potential risks of your engagements with the Zolari," Baxter stated crisply as they walked through the ship's corridor. "We need to ensure that this doesn't compromise our strategic or security interests." Jack, accustomed to the freedom of command at the edge of known space, bristled at the scrutiny but understood the necessity. "Commander, I assure you that our interactions have only been beneficial. The Zolari possess knowledge that could revolutionize our technology and philosophy. Their collective memory alone is a treasure trove." Baxter was unmoved. "And yet we know so little about their true capabilities or their intentions. This collective memory and consciousness could pose a threat. What if their intentions are not as benign as you believe?" Before Jack could respond, an urgent message interrupted their conversation. "Captain, you're needed on the bridge immediately," came the voice of Lieutenant Harris. On the bridge, Jack and Baxter were greeted by a tense crew. Gomez pointed to the main screen, which displayed a fleet of unknown ships closing in on their position. "They're hailing us, Captain." Jack took a deep breath and opened the channel. The screen flickered to life, revealing a stern-faced alien commander. "Human vessel, you are interacting with a species under the protection of the Galactic Concord. Cease your involvement immediately and prepare to be boarded for inspection." Jack's diplomatic instincts kicked in. "We mean no harm. Our intentions with the Zolari are purely peaceful. We have established a mutual understanding and wish to continue our dialogue." The alien commander was skeptical. "The Zolari are a reclusive and vulnerable species. Your actions could be construed as exploitation. We will board your ship and verify your claims." As the alien inspection team prepared to board, Commander Baxter pulled Jack aside. "See, Reynolds, this is exactly the kind of situation we were worried about. Your actions have now attracted the attention of a galactic regulatory body." Jack, frustrated yet resolute, prepared to defend his crew's actions. The boarding process was tense, with the alien team meticulously inspecting the Voyager and interviewing its crew about their interactions with the Zolari. After hours of investigation, the alien commander approached Jack with a decision. "We have found no evidence of exploitation or harm. However, we will continue to monitor your activities closely. The Zolari are not to be disturbed without proper oversight." Commander Baxter, witnessing the exchange, realized the complexity of Jack's mission. "Captain Reynolds, perhaps I underestimated the delicacy of your situation here. Let's work together to ensure that your future dealings with the Zolari are transparent and within the guidelines of both Earth Command and the Galactic Concord." As the alien ships departed, Jack felt a mix of relief and concern. The incident had highlighted the delicate balance required to navigate not only interstellar diplomacy, but also internal political dynamics. He knew that each step forward with the Zolari would need to be measured, mindful of the broader implications for Earth and its place in the galactic community. With Commander Baxter now more sympathetic to his mission, Jack hoped to foster a dialogue that would ensure the protection of the Zalari's interests as well as humanity's. The path forward was fraught with complications, but Jack was more determined than ever to bridge the gap between human and Zalari civilizations, proving that humanity could be a force for good in the cosmos. The scrutiny from the Galactic Concord and the United Earth Space Command added layers of bureaucracy that hindered the spontaneity of Jack's visits to the Zalari station. Nevertheless, he remained committed to deepening the bond with Illyra and her collective. The tension between upholding diplomatic protocols and pursuing the genuine connection he felt with the Zalari was palpable aboard the Voyager. One morning, Jack received a discreet communication from Illyra, her tone more urgent than usual. "Captain Reynolds, I need to speak with you privately. It is a matter of great importance concerning the future of my people." Understanding the gravity of the request, Jack arranged to meet Illyra in a less frequented part of the Zalari station, bypassing the usual channels to avoid drawing attention. As he navigated the quiet corridors, he couldn't shake the feeling of unease. When he arrived, Illyra's projection greeted him with a solemnity that was almost palpable. "Jack, there are factions within my collective that fear our interactions may lead to undesirable changes. They have moved to sever our connections permanently, to isolate us once again." Jack was taken aback. "Isolate you, but we've only just begun to understand each other." "Yes, but fear of the unknown runs deep," Illyra explained. "There are those among us who remember the old conflicts, who see only potential threats in outsiders. They are calling for a return to isolation, to cut off all communication with humans and other species." Determined not to let this unique opportunity slip away, Jack responded, "Let me talk to them. Maybe I can persuade them to see the benefits of our friendship." Illyra shook her head, her holographic form shimmering with a flicker of sadness. "It is not possible. The decision is being encoded into our central directive. Soon, I will not be able to reach out to you or anyone." Frustrated but not defeated, Jack pondered their options. "There has to be a way to preserve our connection. Think, Illyra, is there anything within your laws or history that could help us?" After a moment of silence, Illyra spoke. "There is one possibility. An ancient protocol allows for an external audit of major decisions if they risk the survival of the collective. If you could access our historical archives and present evidence that our engagement is beneficial, it might convince the dissenting factions." Jack nodded, understanding the risks involved. "Lead me to the archives. We'll find the evidence we need." The archive room was deep within the station, a place Jack had never been. Rows upon rows of databanks pulsated with light, each one a repository of Zalari history and knowledge. Illyra guided him to the relevant sections, and together they began the arduous task of searching through ancient protocols and historical data. As they worked, Jack couldn't help but admire Illyra's resolve. Her dedication to her people, and to their budding friendship, was evident in her meticulous attention to detail. Hours turned into a race against time as the faction opposing their interaction moved to implement the isolation protocol. Just as the station's systems began locking down, Jack found it. A series of documents and testimonies from the early days of the Zalari collective, highlighting periods of prosperity brought on by interspecies collaborations. Armed with the evidence, Illyra quickly prepared a presentation to the collective's governing council. Jack stood by her side as she argued passionately for openness, using the documents to demonstrate the historical benefits of external interactions. The council was divided, but the evidence was compelling. After a tense deliberation, they voted to delay the isolation protocol, agreeing to reconsider their stance on external communications. Breathing a sigh of relief, Jack and Illyra exited the council chamber. "Thank you, Jack, for everything," Illyra said, her voice filled with gratitude. Jack smiled. "We're in this together, Illyra. Whatever it takes to keep our channels open." As they parted ways, Jack felt a renewed sense of purpose. The connection with the Zalari was fragile, but it was worth fighting for. With Illyra at his side, he was hopeful about the future, hopeful that together they could overcome fear and prejudice to build a bridge between their worlds. Following the Council's decision to delay the isolation protocol, Jack and Illyra continued their work, determined to solidify the ties between humans and the Zalari. However, the opposition within the Zalari collective remained a constant threat, motivated by a deep-seated fear of external influences. Recognizing the need for a more robust defense of their burgeoning relationship, Jack began documenting all positive outcomes of their interactions, from technological advancements to philosophical exchanges. Back on the Voyager, The crew was abuzz with preparations. Jack enlisted the help of Gomez and Clark to compile a comprehensive report showcasing the benefits of human-Zalari cooperation, intended for both the Galactic Concord and Earth Command. His aim was to provide a strong case for continued diplomacy and to counter any arguments for enforced isolation. Meanwhile, Illyra worked within the collective, slowly swaying opinions by reintroducing her people to the forgotten benefits of interspecies cooperation, highlighted in the ancient archives. Her efforts were met with resistance, but gradually, more of the Zalari began to see the value in maintaining an open dialogue with humanity. As Jack and Illyra's strategies began to bear fruit, an unexpected challenge emerged. A rogue faction within the Zalari, determined to push forward the isolation agenda, launched a covert operation to sabotage the station's communication systems. The sabotage was discovered just in time by Harris, who was on the station assisting with security protocols. Alerted to the breach, Jack confronted the situation with a sense of urgency. "We need to fix this, Harris. If they succeed, it's not just communication with Earth that we'll lose. We'll lose everything we've worked for with the Zalari." Working closely with Zalari technicians, Harris managed to trace the sabotage to a small group of dissenters. The group was swiftly apprehended, and their plans were brought to light during an emergency meeting of the Zalari Council. With the rogue faction exposed, Illyra seized the moment to address the council. "This act of sabotage is proof of the fear that still governs us," she declared. "But it is through unity and openness that we have always found our strength. We must not falter now when true peace is within our grasp." Her speech, impassioned and resolute, stirred the council. With Jack's support, she proposed a new initiative for Zalari governance, one that would include safeguards against such unilateral actions in the future and ensure that the collective's decision-making process was transparent and inclusive. The council, shaken by the near miss and moved by Illyra's vision, voted overwhelmingly in favor of her proposal. The decision marked a significant turning point, paving the way for a formal treaty between the humans and the Zalari. As the treaty was drafted, Jack and Illyra planned a ceremony to celebrate the agreement, inviting representatives from the Galactic Concord and Earth Command. The event was to be held on the Zalari station, symbolizing the new era of cooperation. On the day of the ceremony, the Voyager's crew, along with dignitaries from various galactic entities, gathered in the station's central chamber, now beautifully adorned with flora from the Garden of Echoes. The atmosphere was one of cautious optimism, a shared hope for a future where fear and isolation would no longer dictate the course of civilizations. Jack stood beside Illyra as they addressed the assembly. "Today we not only celebrate a new alliance, but also the enduring power of trust and mutual respect," Jack said, his voice echoing through the chamber. Illyra added, "Let this treaty be a testament to what can be achieved when diverse peoples unite for a common good. Together, we are more than the sum of our parts." The treaty was signed amid applause and a sense of accomplishment. For Jack, it was the culmination of months of effort and a personal journey of growth and understanding. For Illyra and her people, it was a step out of the shadows of fear into a new light forged by friendship and cooperation. As the celebrations continued, Jack looked around at the smiling faces of humans and Zalari alike. He felt a deep satisfaction, knowing they had not only averted a crisis, but had turned a potential disaster into a beacon of hope for the future. In the aftermath of the treaty signing, the Voyager remained in orbit around the Zalari station, now more a symbol of interstellar friendship than a mere vessel of exploration. Captain Jack Reynolds, having played a pivotal role in fostering this historic alliance, felt a profound sense of achievement and relief. The celebrations had marked a new beginning, not just for the Zalari and humans, but for potential interactions across the galaxy. As the festivities wound down, Jack and Illyra met in the Garden of Echoes, their favorite spot for quiet discussions and reflection. The garden, with its bioluminescent plants and soft melodies, seemed to resonate with the peaceful outcome of their efforts. "Illyra, we've come a long way," Jack said, looking around at the glowing flora. "From suspicion and fear to trust and partnership. It's more than I could have hoped for when we first arrived." Illyra, whose form had become almost as familiar to Jack as any member of his crew, nodded. "Indeed, Jack. Your openness to understanding us, to seeing beyond our collective exterior to the individuals within, has changed the course of our future." The Zalari leader paused, her gaze thoughtful. "And now, with this treaty, our peoples are forever linked, but your mission must continue, as must the journey of the Zalari. Where does this leave us, my friend?" Jack considered her question, the weight of future decisions pressing upon him. I've been thinking about that a lot lately. The Voyager has more to explore, more to discover. But a part of me feels that my place is here, with you and the Zalari. There's still so much to learn from each other. Illyra's expression softened, a smile playing at the edges of her holographic face. You would consider staying? To continue our work together? Yes, Jack confirmed, his decision clear in his mind. I believe my efforts here can still make a difference. With the crew's support, I'd like to establish a more permanent human presence on the station to facilitate cultural exchanges and collaborative projects. Illyra reached out, her hand nearly tangible as it hovered close to Jack's. That would be welcomed, Jack. Your insight and friendship have become invaluable to us. The following days were busy with planning and communications between the Voyager, Earth Command, and the Galactic Concord. Jack's proposal for a semi-permanent assignment was met with interest and eventually approval, given the potential benefits of such close cooperation. Meanwhile, preparations began on the station to accommodate a small team of human researchers, engineers, and diplomats who would work alongside the Zalari. The initiative was groundbreaking, promising a future where humans and Zalari could learn from each other's strengths and experiences. As the new human contingent arrived, Jack oversaw the integration of his team with the Zalari systems. The exchange was not without its challenges, but the foundation of trust and respect they had built over the past months made the process smoother. One evening, as the twin suns of the Zalari system set, casting a golden glow over the station, Jack and Illyra stood watching the horizon from a viewing deck. Look at that sunset, Illyra. It's a new dawn for us all, Jack remarked, the symbolism not lost on either of them. Yes, a new dawn indeed, Illyra agreed. And with every sunrise, we will remember the path that led us here, the courage to reach across the unknown and grasp a hand extended in friendship. The future was uncertain, as all futures are, but as Jack looked out over the horizon, he felt a rare peace. Here, at the edge of known space, a new chapter was beginning, not just for the Voyager and its crew, but for all who dared to dream of a universe where understanding bridged the vast distances between stars. With the Zalari and humans standing together, the possibilities were as limitless as the cosmos itself, and Jack Reynolds was ready to meet them with an open heart and an eager mind. The adventure continued, but now it was an adventure shared, a testament to the power of curiosity and the enduring strength of newfound kinship.